So Zillow just came out with their hottest markets of 2022, and Tampa topped that list. Stay tuned for my thoughts. Hey everybody, Melanie Atkinson here, realtor with Smith & Associates in beautiful Tampa Bay, Florida. And I wanted to jump on today to talk about this article that Zillow came out with yesterday that named Tampa as the #1 hottest market for 2022, which is not news to me. I think it's great that we're getting the recognition, but I wanted to go through this article a little bit for all of you guys and break it down. Zillow is saying that even in 2020, 2021, the Sun Belt was dominating the market, which we knew. Markets like Arizona and Raleigh, North Carolina, cities in Texas were doing really well in the past years. But Tampa is the #1 this year. As I talked about in a lot of my other videos, 2022 moving into the year, we're already dealing with the same issues that we were dealing with in 2021, which was very low inventory and a lot of demand. And that's one of the things that they're talking about in this article is cities like Tampa and the ones in the Sun Belt that have been popular for a couple years are still dealing with these same challenges for buyers. So it's still a seller's market in Tampa and should be for the foreseeable future in 2022. I just don't see any change to that. It's going to take us a while to get the inventory on the market to actually make up for all of the buyers that we have here right now. Jacksonville, another Florida city. Florida cities in general have just been really hot the last couple of years. We have great job growth. So there's the map and how they rank them for 2022. Obviously, with Tampa being #1, Jacksonville 2, Orlando's on that list as well. All of those cities in Florida are growing suburban cities. We have a tremendous amount of construction going on in our suburban areas, mostly going north and going into the southeast part of Hillsborough County where there's land left. And I know a lot of people feel like Tampa is getting built very quickly and it's a lot of the green space is being taken up. The reality of it is that near the cities, those areas have been developed for a very long time, for many, many decades. And what we're seeing now is more of a suburban sprawl as the builders are buying up the empty land that's to the north and to the south and to the east. So the merging of Sarasota and Tampa is where a lot of the building is going. And then the same thing to the east from Orlando to Tampa. There's a lot of new development going in there because that's where builders can find the land. Price growth has been a challenge for us the past 2 years. In Hillsborough County, which is where the city of Tampa is, we saw a median price increase in 2021 of over 20%. It was about 21%. Pinellas County, which is where Clearwater and St. Pete are, had a median price growth of just over 16%. And the same is true in Pasco County, where we have Wesley Chapel and Odessa and those areas. In general, the prices have gone up a lot, but we also had very affordable prices to start with. So when you're thinking about the prices in Tampa and you're looking at this from other markets, it still is going to seem low on a national perspective. Our prices are still very obtainable for a lot of buyers, even first-time home buyers. If you've done your homework and you've saved up some money, it still is possible to buy here. But like I said before, we have a lot of suburban sprawl happening right now, which is where a lot of those more affordable houses are going to be. Our inventory now is still extremely low. Most of last year in 2021, we had less than a month's worth of inventory of pretty much all the price points that most people are looking at. So say that 300 to 700,000, a little bit more in the higher price points, which is typical. But less than a month inventory is difficult for any buyer. A balanced market is considered 6 months of inventory. So to have 2 weeks of inventory, especially during our peak buying season in the spring and summer, was a challenge for sure. We are expecting that to be true in 2022. We're already seeing it. As far as the job market and building, so I think that's always been one of the things that has held Tampa back because Tampa wasn't really a tech hub and we didn't have large tech companies coming to Tampa for a long time. It was always an overlooked market. And Now that's changing. A lot of large companies are either doing their southern headquarters here in Tampa, or they're moving their total headquarters here to Tampa. So we have a lot of commercial building going on in Water Street in downtown Tampa. We've always had a lot of commercial space available in the West Shore area in Tampa, which is right by our airport, which is one of the best airports in the whole country. So there's a lot of job growth coming here as well. So more professional job growth. And then for anybody that's in the construction industry, that's really a sector of the market that we really need here. People in any sort of construction, we're really, really lacking in that right now because of the demand for building. So, healthcare, education, all of that is growing very quickly here because we have more people moving here. Demographics. So I talk about this in a lot of my videos. I think I talked about it a lot in 2021 video, and then one when I'm talking about what I think the market's going to be like in 2022. The demographics have been really fascinating. What we used to see is, the older generations selling their homes, the newer generations coming in and buying them. But the baby boomer generation is living longer. They're not selling their homes, their primary homes, and they're buying secondary homes in these southern states. They have a lot of assets. They can pay cash for houses. They can buy a beach condo. They can buy a downtown condo. So they're taking a lot of the inventory. And then millennials are a massive generation that are in the peak time of their home buying process. So they're starting families. They've been making money for a long time now. They're ready to settle down and buy homes. And they're buying homes in places like Tampa and Austin, and where they can find good jobs and raise their families. So that puts a huge crunch on our inventory, our supply of homes for sale. If baby boomers aren't selling and they're buying second homes, and millennials are buying, and heck, us Gen Xers are just there in the middle, and we've been buying houses for a while, and we're struggling now to find them too. It's an interesting part of the full real estate picture that I don't think gets talked about enough, is the fact that baby boomers just aren't selling. And millennials are very, very much in their time of life that they're buying. So, two risk factors going into 2022: mortgage interest rates. Everyone talks about mortgage interest rates going up. Of course, it's an issue. Every time mortgage interest rates go up, buyers are going to be paying more per month for the same amount of money that they would have borrowed had it been lower interest rate. However, we have to keep all of that in perspective. Interest rates in the 3%, whether it's 3% or 3.9%, are still historically extremely low. We're not talking about mortgage interest rate jumps to 5% or 6% or 7%. My first house, when I bought it in early 2000, was 7.75%. And that was a great interest rate at that time. So yes, there's a risk that people will say, oh, the interest rates are going up. Maybe I won't buy in 2022. We're not talking about a major mortgage interest rate increase in 2022. We're talking about it still being at historical lows. Pre-pandemic, they were over 4% and people were buying houses. So I think that's a pretty low risk. The Zillow article is talking about forecasts on stocks. That's definitely something I'm watching a little bit more than the interest rate issue, because if people are losing the amount of assets that they own, if the value of their stock assets are going down, then they might not have that money to put into buying a house, or they might just become a little bit more conservative. On the flip side, if people feel like the market's going down, the stock market's going down, they might sell and try to look to invest their money in housing, which has always been a strategy for people that are looking to diversify. I feel like those risks in general, although risks are manageable ones. So Zillow, whenever they were writing this article, you can read through their methodology. I'm certainly not going to go through all their metrics. I don't need to read their metrics to know that what they're saying here is true. The Tampa Bay market for housing has been something that none of us even could have predicted, even though we all knew. And I, as a longtime Tampa Bay resident, knew that this was an amazing area, and one that was being overlooked and overshadowed by some more glitzy, glamorous areas, especially in Florida, like Miami and Orlando. I always knew that at some point they were going to discover Tampa. It's like everything kind of came together at the same time, including things like the Tom Brady effect. I mean, just our sports teams doing well, and as a small thing that is, it put Tampa on the map for everyone watching. People were able to see how beautiful it was here, with overhead shots, and watch our celebration boat parades, which were actually as fun as they looked on TV. All of the exposure that Tampa's had, and all of the growth was already in the works, for downtown Tampa, downtown St. Pete, and then builders building in the suburbs it's just all kind of come together, to make Tampa kind of the it place for 2022, and I would argue for 2021 as well. And that's an exciting thing for us. Now, I'm going to be completely honest with you, and I have this conversation with a lot of my out of state buyers, which are most of my buyers. When you're coming from California, you're coming from New York, we're still figuring things out here. We're still a big city that's kind of a little city. We don't have people here to do the fancy architecture that you guys are used to in California, or even to build those houses. We're trying to catch up with the demand. Be patient with us. You might find that our technology is a little bit less here, and that's just because we're catching up. If you're coming from California, I was talking to a contractor from California earlier this week, and I was like, please come here, bring your knowledge of what you guys are doing out there, because people are seeming to want the same thing here as far as housing is concerned as what you guys have in California or in Miami. We're having to bring people up from Miami to do architecture work for modern home design and things like that. We're just now starting to do. So come here. If you're coming here, please know that we are still Tampa. We are a wonderful, welcoming, beautiful city, that's kind of coming into our own. We are not a long-term city that's been, the most desired place to be for a really long time. So you're going to have to be a little bit patient with us. We're working on it. This is exciting news for us. Again, not a surprise, but I am concerned about buyers in 2022, just like I was last year. It's a very difficult time to be a buyer. And a lot of what I navigated last year with my buyer clients was navigating this very challenging seller's market, and how to get your offer accepted and how to be prepared. Everything has to be ready once you're buying a house. So once you decide that you want to move here, I really need everybody to start that process really, really soon, and reach out and have lender pre-approvals and all the stuff that we need in order to make your home buying process successful. First time home buyers, it is brutal out there for you guys, but I don't want you guys to lose faith that you can jump into the housing market. It's a really important part of your entire financial picture. And what we're seeing now is that people that own homes are the ones that are able to buy the next homes because they're able to cash in on their equity. So I want everybody to be able to enjoy that same benefit. If you're new to this channel, you've never looked through my library, I have a lot of information on the Tampa Bay area itself. I have a lot of information on the real estate market. Check out the video I just did talking about what I expect to happen in the real estate market in 2022. And then scroll through, you'll see a lot of neighborhood highlights, just some general information about the Tampa Bay area. It should be a very exciting year. I'm going to keep all of you guys posted as news comes up, and hopefully do some more of this more timely videos. So thank you guys all so much for watching. With love, Melanie.